She heard her sister laughing on the phone 2 days before the wedding, calling her grief, sulking, and saying it was honestly a little sad that she was so desperate to be included. She showed up to that wedding anyway, stood at that microphone, and said every single thing her family had spent years begging her to keep quiet. And I promise you, this story gets so much worse. Okay, so here's what you need to know. 2 sisters. Same house. Same parents. Completely different lives inside it. One of them is the golden child. You know the type. The one the parents brag about at dinner. The one who gets the benefit of every doubt. The one who could do almost anything and somehow still come out looking fine. The other one? She learned early that her job in this family was to stay small. Smile. Make peace. Take up as little space as possible. And for almost a decade, she did exactly that. She absorbed it all. The favoritism. The double standards. Every little moment that told her she was the supporting character and not the main one. She swallowed it down and kept going. But something happened when she was in her early 20s that changed everything. Something her family decided to bury. And it stayed buried. Until a wedding reception. In front of 200 people. With a microphone. Let's go back. Because the reception moment only hits right if you understand what came before it. She was in her early 20s. Deeply in love. 3 years into a serious relationship. Like, browsing jewelry websites. Imagining a future. That kind of in love. And the whole time, her sister kept pulling her aside. Something feels off about him. You could do better. I don't trust him. She defended him every single time. She thought her sister was just being protective. She thought the concern was genuine. It was not. She eventually found out that her sister and her boyfriend had been sleeping together for 4 months. Secret calls. Secret meetings. 4 months of looking her in the face while it was happening. I'm sorry. What? And look, the affair is already devastating enough. But here's where her family took this situation and made it so much worse. When she confronted her sister, there were tears. There were apologies. There was the classic "it just happened," which, by the way, is one of the most cowardly phrases in the English language. But then her parents got involved. Not to hold the sister accountable. Not to comfort the girl who had just had the floor ripped out from under her. They asked her to be the bigger person. Her sister was stressed with graduate school. They said it was a difficult time for her. Okay, but for her, the one who did the cheating, that's the person we're protecting right now? She had just been betrayed by the 2 people she trusted most in the world. And the family's response was essentially, could you just not make this weird? So she didn't, because that was her job. She kept the peace, the way she always had. And then she watched her sister move on from the boyfriend within 6 months. Like it was nothing. Like the whole thing had been a minor scheduling conflict. Her parents never brought it up again. Not once. And she carried that weight completely alone for years. Years. Plural. Okay, so fast forward. The sister gets engaged to someone new. By all accounts, a genuinely good guy. Warm. Decent. Didn't do anything wrong to anybody. And then the sister asks her to be the maid of honor. Now, you'd think at this point she would say no. Right? You'd think she would have some kind of self-preservation instinct that kicks in and says, absolutely not. But some part of her, and I think this part is actually really human and really heartbreaking. Some part of her still wanted to believe the invitation meant something. That things could finally be different. That maybe this was her sister extending an olive branch. So she said yes. She planned the bachelorette party. Built the slideshow. Wrote a speech that took her hours. Honest. Warm. Actually trying to close the door on all of it. She was genuinely trying. And then, 2 days before the wedding, she overheard the phone call. Her sister talking to a relative, laughing, completely relaxed. And she heard her sister say, casually, like she was talking about the weather, that having her as maid of honor was just easier than dealing with her sulking. That she was so desperate to be included. And that it was honestly a little sad. She stood there and felt something go cold inside her. This is where I genuinely had to put my phone down for a second. Because the audacity. This woman planned your entire bachelorette. She wrote you a speech. She's been quietly carrying the thing your family buried for years. And you're laughing about how desperate she is? She went to the wedding. She wore the dress. She sat in her place. She smiled when she was supposed to smile. And when the reception started and the maid of honor speech came, she stood up, took the microphone, and started exactly the way everyone expected her to. She talked about growing up together. She mentioned the good memories. She watched her sister smiling at her from the head table, completely at ease, completely unsuspecting. And then she said there was something she had never been able to say out loud. And that she thought today, surrounded by everyone who loved her sister, was actually the right time to say it. The room went quiet. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She didn't perform it. She just said it. She told the room that several years ago, her sister had carried on an affair with her long-term boyfriend. 4 months. While she had no idea. She told them that when she found out, her family asked her to stay silent, to protect her sister. She said she had kept that silence for years because she loved her family more than she loved the truth. And then she looked at the new husband, the warm, decent, innocent man sitting at the head table, and she said she hoped he knew the woman he was marrying better than she had known her own partner. At his age. Then she set the microphone down on the table, picked up her clutch, and walked out of the venue. Her phone started ringing before she reached her car. Her mother was devastated. Her father called her disgusting. Her sister, by all accounts, sobbed through the rest of the reception. But here's the thing that makes this story so much more complicated than just a revenge moment. Because a handful of relatives reached out and said she was completely justified. Completely. Years of silence. Years of carrying this alone. And she finally told the truth. But then there's the husband. The guy who did absolutely nothing wrong to anyone. Who just wanted to marry the person he loved and have a normal wedding day. He is now starting his marriage carrying the weight of a grenade that had nothing to do with him. Finding out your wife had a long-term affair, even a past one, at your own reception, in front of 200 people, is not something you just shake off on the drive to the honeymoon. And she knows that. She said that part keeps her awake. She doesn't regret what she said about her sister. Not even a little. But the collateral damage, the innocent man sitting at that table, that's the part she's still sitting with. Because maybe she was a wronged woman who finally told the truth her family had been burying for years. And maybe she was also someone who chose the most devastating possible moment and hurt someone who never deserved to be hurt. And here's the thing. She's not even sure those two things are mutually exclusive. She doesn't know who she is in this story anymore. And somehow, that uncertainty? That's hitting her harder than all the phone calls combined. So here's what I need you to decide. She told the truth her family spent years burying. She was manipulated, betrayed, used as an emotional prop at a wedding she had every reason to skip. And she finally said the thing no one would ever let her say. But was a wedding reception in front of 200 people really the place to do it? Or had every other option been taken from her so many times that this was the only door left? Drop your verdict in the comments. Was she justified? Was she wrong? Was she both? Because I genuinely cannot make up my mind on this one and I need to know where you land. Next up, a story that made our entire team go completely silent in a group chat. No jokes. No reactions. Just silence. You do not want to miss it. Subscribe so you never miss a single drop of drama. Stories shared on this channel are inspired by real experiences posted online. All details have been anonymized and rewritten. Any resemblance to specific individuals is coincidental.